Darien and Selene Part 2, Among the Shadows. The noise of the war suddenly left Darien's ears. Shouts. The sound of silver hitting stone. Blood. Everything went silent. Because Darien saw her. Near the dark water of the Bosphorus, a shape stood in the fog. She was not a hunter, not a vampire. She did not move, but she was there. Her hair fell over her shoulders like water. Selene. His heart hurt like an old feeling he had forgotten for centuries. This is not possible, Darien whispered, but his eyes did not lie. Lucien stopped too. Darien, he said quietly, don't look at her. But Darien had already taken a step forward. At that moment, Selene lifted her head. Their eyes met, and the war started again. A hunter attacked Darien from behind. A silver knife cut his shoulder. He did not feel the pain. His eyes stayed on Selene. There was no surprise on her face, no fear, only recognition. Darien, Selene said. Her voice mixed with the wind, but it reached him. That was enough for Darien. He threw one vampire to the ground. He pushed a hunter away, but his steps were moving toward Selene. Lucien stood in front of him. Stop, he said. This could be a trick. The hunters know, Darien said. When they want to kill you, they are not silent. This is her. Selene stepped back, one step, then another. When her foot touched the water, the Bosphorus moved. One of the hunters shouted, don't go near the water. Too late. Selene stepped into the water, but she did not sink. She stood on the surface. Her feet did not touch it. This was the stance of a sealed vampire. Selene looked at Darien. Her eyes were full, but she did not cry. I did not wake up, she said. They let me go. Darien froze. Who? Selene did not answer. Because at that moment, a deep movement came from under the water. The words of the Silent One echoed in Darien's mind. Some sins are waiting. As Selene moved backward, she looked at Darien one last time. Don't look for me, she said. If you find me, everything will burn. And then the Bosphorus took her. The water rose. The fog closed. Selene disappeared. The sounds of the war returned. Lucien grabbed Darien's shoulder. You saw her, he said. That is enough. Darien did not answer. He did not see the blood on the ground, the shadows in the water, or the shouting hunters anymore. Because now he was sure Selene was alive. But she was not free. And whoever released her was ready to turn Istanbul into a grave. The war was over. At least for that moment. By the Bosphorus, under a broken arch, the night was breathing quietly. The water was heavy. The moon was cloudy. Istanbul was watching. Selene came out of the darkness. This time there was no fog. No escape. When Darien saw her, he did not step forward. If he moved closer, he was afraid it might be a dream. Selene stopped. Only a few steps were between them, but those steps felt as heavy as a lifetime. Are you real? Darien said. His voice was shaking for the first time. Selene smiled. A tired, broken, but familiar smile. If I'm not, she said, why do you still say my name like that? In a moment, Darien was in front of her. He reached out his hand but did not touch her. His fingers stopped just a few centimeters from Selene's face. I saw you come out of the coffin, he said. Your eyes were still open. Selene looked down. Because I was waiting for you. This time, Darien could not stop himself and touched her. Selene's skin was cold, but it was real. Darien rested his forehead against hers. His breathing was uneven. I thought I lost you, he said. Every night. Selene placed her hands on Darien's face. With her thumbs, she wiped the darkness under his eyes. Me too, she whispered. With every awakening. For a moment, they did not speak. They just held on to each other. Selene rested her head on Darien's chest. She listened to his heartbeat. Slow. Deep. Angry. You've changed, she said. Because you were gone. Selene caught her breath. She closed her eyes. I am still sealed, she said. I am not fully awake. Not fully dead either. Darien gently pulled her back. He looked into her eyes. Who did this to you? Selene did not answer. She only leaned her head on Darien's shoulder. Not now, she said. Hold me like this a little longer. Darien wrapped his arms around her. His hold was tight, but not painful. As if everything would fall apart if he let go. Selene trembled for the first time. Don't leave me, she said. Not this time. Darien closed his eyes. He clenched his teeth. I will pull you out of this darkness, he said. If Istanbul burns, it will burn with me. Selene lifted her head. There was fear in her eyes, but even more love. Then, she said, this city will never forgive us. Darien smiled. A dark smile. It never did. Far away, a stone rolled. The sound of a step. Lucien's voice came with the wind. We don't have much time. Selene stepped away from Darien, but she did not let go of his hand. This is not a goodbye, she said. It's a beginning. And for the first time, the longing was over. But the danger was just beginning. Selene stepped one step away from Darien. This move did not feel like a goodbye. It felt like escape. What's wrong? Darien asked at once. His heart started to beat faster than it should. Selene did not answer. She pressed her hands to her chest. Her breathing became uneven. It was as if something inside her was impatient to wake up. Selene, Darien said, look at me. Selene lifted her head. Her eyes were not the same anymore. Thin black veins appeared around her eyes. Her lips parted. Her breath came out like mist, but it was not cold from the night. It was a deep hunger. Go, Selene said. Her voice broke. Now, Darien did not move. No. Selene suddenly tensed. Her shoulders shook. Her teeth grew uncontrolled, sudden, and wanted. She stepped back, but her feet touched the water. The dark waters of the Bosphorus wrapped around her ankles. The water moved. Selene screamed. But this was not a scream for help. It was the sound of chains breaking. Darien was suddenly beside her. He grabbed her arms. Look at me, he shouted. I'm here. Selene pushed him. She was so strong that Darien was thrown back a few steps. He hit the stone. When he stood up, Selene was on her knees. She pressed her hands to her head. Inside me, she said, there are other voices. Her voice was between crying and growling. They are calling me. Darien moved closer. Slowly. Without caring about the danger. Who is calling you? He asked. Selene lifted her head. Her eyes were now completely dark. Water, she said. Blood. And the seal. Suddenly, Selene's body tightened. Her back arched. A black wave rose from the Bosphorus, not water, but like shadow. Lucien shouted, Darien, get back. But Darien did not move. Selene suddenly grabbed Darien's throat. Her teeth touched his skin. 1 moment. 1 second of silence. Then Selene stopped. She trembled. A tear fell from her eye. Mixed with blood. I don't want this, she whispered. Please, don't leave me. Darien placed his hands on Selene's face. Blood was flowing from the cut on his neck. But he did not care. If you fall, he said, fall with me. Selene screamed. This time, it was a real scream. The shadows pulled back. The water calmed, but Selene did not faint. She stayed in Darien's arms, breathing hard, dangerous, awake. Lucien came closer. His face was hard. This is only the beginning, he said. The seal is breaking. Selene rested her head on Darien's chest. She breathed with difficulty. Hide me, she said, because I may not control myself again. Darien looked up at the sky. At the darkness of Istanbul. And for the first time, he understood this. Saving Selene was more dangerous than loving her. Selene's body suddenly became stiff in Darien's arms. This was not a normal spasm. It was the awakening of something else. Her eyes fixed on one point. It was not Darien. She saw the hunter standing behind him. There was the smell of blood on him. Fresh, open, defenseless. Selene's breathing changed. Selene, Darien said. There was fear in his voice, but Selene could not hear him anymore. Only one voice echoed in her ears, call on take. In 1 moment, she broke free from Darien's arms. She moved so fast that even Lucien could not stop her. Selene slammed into the hunter. His back hit the stone wall. His breath left him. He tried to say, no. Selene's hand closed around his throat. The strength was not her own. Her teeth grew longer. Uncontrolled. Painful. Selene, stop, Darien shouted. But Selene's eyes were dark. The moment her teeth touched the man's neck, she hesitated. She trembled. A single tear fell from her eye, but it was too late. The taste of blood filled her mouth. Warm. Thick. Alive. Selene screamed, because in that moment, she understood, she liked it. The man's body relaxed. His knees gave way. Selene did not let go. She could not. Lucien reached them. He pressed a silver knife to Selene's shoulder. It did not burn her. It only shocked her. Selene was thrown back. She fell to the ground. The man collapsed. He was alive, but unconscious. Darien dropped to his knees beside Selene. "Look at me," he said. "Only me." Selene looked at her hands. They were covered in blood. She started to shake this time, without control. She said. "I didn't kill him, did I?" Darien swallowed. No, but his voice was not convincing. Selene held her head in her hands. A broken sound came from her, but it was not crying. "What if it happens again?" she whispered. "What if I can't stop myself?" Darien said nothing, because he knew the answer. Lucien spoke with a hard voice. "This is no longer a possibility." Selene lifted her head. There was fear in her eyes, but there was something worse. "Acceptance. Something is waking up inside me," she said, "and I'm afraid I will love it." Darien placed his hand over Selene's bloody hand. "I am not afraid," he said, "because if you turn into a monster." He looked at Selene without looking away. "I will become a monster with you." And the night of Istanbul, for the first time, witnessed the true birth of a vampire. Obedience of the water. Selene was on her knees. Her breathing was uneven. Her hands were still shaking, but the blood was no longer flowing. The Bosphorus was silent. Darien was the first to notice it. The waves had stopped hitting the shore. The water was waiting. Selene lifted her head, her eyes fixed on the sea. And in that moment, the water pulled back. No one touched it. No one gave an order. But the Bosphorus opened a path for Selene. Lucien whispered, "This is not possible." Selene stood up. When her feet touched the water, she did not feel cold. Instead, the water rose around her ankles. But it did not attack. It wrapped around her as if protecting her. Selene held her breath. The dark thing inside her moved again, but this time, it was not screaming. It was listening. Selene raised her hand. The water moved with her. A wave rose, but it did not hit the shore. It moved toward the place where the hunters had fallen and stopped there. It waited. "No," Selene said with a shaking voice. "Don't hurt anyone." The wave stopped. Then it pulled back. Darien could not take his eyes off Selene. "Is this your power?" he asked. Selene shook her head. "No," she whispered. "This is my memory." The sea moved once more, as if it took a deep breath from below. And Selene understood. The coffin, the darkness, 1,000 years of waiting. The water had not drowned her. It had carried her. "It knows me," Selene said. "It knows every darkness inside the water." Lucien stepped back. For the first time, he was not just careful, he was respectful. "The hunters will feel this," he said, "and they will be afraid." Selene closed her eyes. The water moved again. This time, a thin current formed toward Galata. "Like a path. It is calling me," Selene said. "There is something in the deep, and it is waiting for me." Darien stepped beside her. He took her hand. The water touched his feet too, but it rose only around Selene. A choice had been made. And that night, Istanbul learned this. This was no longer just the return of a vampire. This was the awakening of a bank that even the sea obeyed. When the hunters scattered, the night was not over yet. The blood was clean. The traces were erased. But the sea was not. A young hunter on guard at the Skikdar shore noticed it first. The surface of the water was not flat. There were no waves, but there was a shape. He stepped closer. He bent down. He held his breath. The water was pulling back by itself. A mark appeared on the sand. Circle. Lines crossing each other. And in the center the shape of a woman. Long hair. Arms opened. Water under her feet. The hunter jumped back. "Call them," he shouted. "Call everyone." Within minutes, the shore was full. An old hunter knelt down. He moved his hand over the mark. He did not touch it. "This is not a seal," he said. "This is an answer." A woman hunter took out her cross, but she did not raise it, because the mark was not holy and not cursed. It was alive. "The sea does not do this alone," someone said. Something guided it. The silent one stood in the back. His eyes were fixed on the mark. His face turned pale, because he knew the shape. From old texts in Wayuri Baton. From an unfinished drawing, from a warning never completed, he whispered, "This is not a vampire waking up." He lifted his head. For the first time, his voice was clear. "This is the one buried in the water." A murmur spread among the hunters. "Selene," someone said. "Is that her name?" The silent one did not answer, because at that moment, the sea moved. Water filled the mark. then pulled back. Only one thing remained, a single word written on the wet sand. The woman hunter stepped back. Is this a threat? The silent one shook his head. No, he said. This is a reminder. A reminder of what? Someone asked. The silent one looked at the sea. His voice grew low. We locked her away, he said. And the sea did not forget. Far away, a wave hit the shore. It was not a normal wave. It was as if someone pressed a hand into the water and then pulled it away. For the first time, the hunters felt this. The hunt was no longer one-sided. And that night, only one decision went to the council. Selene is not just a vampire, she is a being the sea knows. And the sea had chosen a side. The hunters split into two groups. One group stayed at the shore where the mark appeared. The other moved toward a narrower part of the Bosphorus, by the order of the Silent One. She will pass there, he said. The sea always chooses the shortest way. But the sea was not what anyone expected that night. Fog slowly came down. It was not very thick. That was the dangerous part. Everything looked visible, but nothing was where it should be. The hunter in front stopped. Something is wrong, he said. The current is backward. He was right. The water was flowing against the natural direction of the Bosphorus. But it was silent. No waves. No foam. As if someone was pulling the water from below. Keep moving, the silent one said. She is hiding. At that moment the first illusion began. Movement on the right. A shape rose from the water. Long hair. Wet. Bare shoulders. Selene, someone shouted. Two hunters threw their spears. The spears hit the water. But they hit nothing. The shape broke apart. Like smoke. Like a wave. Then a scream came from behind. A hunter was pulled into the water up to his knees. Before he could shout, the water closed. No blood. No waves. Only emptiness. Fall back, someone shouted. But the sea did not pull back. The shore felt longer. A distance that was 3 steps became 7. They ran, but with every step, the ground grew softer. It was not sand. It felt like something breathing. Another shape appeared, then another. They looked like Selene, but they had no eyes. Their faces were incomplete. This is not her, the silent one shouted. Don't look. But it was too late. A young hunter could not look away. His lips trembled. She is calling me. He took one step, then another. The water accepted him. Silently. When the hunters finally pulled back, 5 were missing. But the sea looked like it had taken nothing. Calm. Innocent. As before, the silent one knelt down. He moved his hand close to the water. He did not touch it. He whispered, "This is not you." But the sea answered. A wave hit the shore. And on the sand, it drew one single line. Straight. Clear. Final. It was not a path. It was a border. And beyond that border, the hunters now knew this, Selene was not hiding. The sea was hiding her. And the sea had learned to lie. Darien stopped while waiting for the strike to come. Something pulled away. As if the night held its breath for a moment. Darien stopped while waiting for the strike to come. Something pulled away. As if the night held its breath for a moment. His heart started to beat faster for no clear reason. But this was not fear. It was emptiness. He pressed his hand to his chest. The darkness flowing in his veins changed direction like a sudden wave. Lucien, he whispered. Lucien lifted his head. What happened? Darien did not answer. He closed his eyes. Lucien lifted his head. What happened? Darien did not answer. He closed his eyes. The presence of hunters was usually clear. Sharp. Cold. Like a weight pressing into the bones. But now, 5 of them were gone. Not like death, not like escape. As if they were erased. They're gone, Darien finally said. His voice mixed with the darkness. All at once, from the same place. Lucien's face tightened. What do you mean? Darien opened his eyes. His gaze turned toward the Bosphorus. When a hunter dies, something remains, he said. Blood, fear, a last breath. Something. He took a step forward. When his foot touched the ground, the earth trembled slightly. Darien's lips parted. Hearing her name opened the wound inside him again. No, he said slowly. Not yet. But then he stopped. Because a second feeling came. Weak. Irregular. Uncontrolled. Like a heartbeat. But with the wrong rhythm. Darien's eyes widened. This feeling was familiar. Lucien, he said. It's her. Lucien turned sharply. Are you sure? Darien nodded. Double quotes yes. He was silent for a moment. Then his voice grew lower. Selene is scared. And when she is scared, He could not finish the sentence. Far away. A thin fog rose over the BOSPHORUS. Slower than normal. But almost aware. The darkness inside Darien found direction for the first time. The sea did not take the hunters, he said. The sea. He paused, obeyed her. Lucien's face turned pale. That's impossible. Darien's eyes shone, not with fear, with hopeless hope. If the sea answers her, he said, then Selene is still alive. Then he clenched his fist. And if hunters are disappearing, he stared into the darkness. This was Selene's first scream. The night breathed again. But now Darien knew something had awakened in this city, and this awakening was not under the control of hunters or vampires. Not even Selene herself. The water was moving around Selene, but it was not carrying her anymore. It was listening. When Selene opened her eyes, there was no sky. No stars, only darkness and a soft blue light moving inside the water. She did not need to breathe, but her chest still burned. Control was slipping. Something inside her had broken. A power she had pushed down for centuries, locked away, never named, was free for the first time. She moved her hands. The water opened without delay. This frightened her. No, she whispered. Her voice broke into bubbles. But the water, as if it understood her, became even calmer. And then a feeling. From above. Near the shore. Human. Hunter. Selene single quotes as heart beat faster than it should. But this time it was not fear. Not hunger either. This was an uncontrolled call. The hunter was standing on the shore. In his hand was a silver mark. An old symbol carved into the sand, drawn with salt and blood. You are here, the man murmured. The sea is shaking. At that moment, the darkness inside Selene rose without thinking. Stop, Selene whispered to herself. But the water did not listen. The sea had chosen her. A wave rose. Silent. Without warning. The hunter stepped back, but it was too late. The water wrapped around his wrist. Selene's eyes widened. No, let him go. But the wave had already decided. The hunter screamed. His voice tore the night for one moment, and then silence. The man did not die. He did not sink. It was as if the water took him inside and erased him. Selene fell to her knees. She covered her face with her hands. I didn't want this, she whispered, but the words were heavy. The truth crushed them. The first unwilling attack had happened. At the same time, a little farther down the shore, two more hunters were looking at the symbol. Did you see? One said. The mark worked. The other shook his head. No, look. The water was calm. The symbol was gone. As if it had never been drawn. The hunters looked at each other. They were in the wrong place. They had awakened the wrong thing. The sea deceived us, one said. This is a trap. And they pulled back. At the same moment, far away, Darien suddenly stopped. The pressure in his chest turned into a sharp shock. Lucien, he said quietly. Something happened. Lucien looked at him. What? Darien closed his eyes. An attack, but not the way Selene knew. She lost control, he said. His voice shook. And this? He opened his eyes. His gaze was hard. The waters of the Bosphorus became calm again, but the silence was no longer innocent. Selene was crying, but her tears did not mix with the water. The sea had already accepted her. And Darien was closer than ever to finding her. Selene sank to her knees at the edge of the water. Her shoulders shook, but no sound came out at first. When the sob finally escaped her lips, it felt torn from somewhere deeper than her chest. She pressed her hands to the stone, fingers trembling, as if the ground itself was the only thing keeping her from falling back into the sea. I didn't mean to, she whispered. I felt it pull me. The hunger, the dark. I tried to stop. The Bosphorus answered with silence, not rejection, acceptance. Darien stepped closer, slowly, carefully. Every instinct in him wanted to reach for her, to pull her into his arms, but instinct had already betrayed them once tonight. You stopped, he said quietly. That matters. Selene looked up at him. Her eyes were red, glowing faintly beneath the tears. Something ancient moved behind them now, something newly awakened and afraid of itself. It won't stop happening, she said. I felt it when I attacked. The sea didn't fight me. It obeyed. That was when Darien understood. This was not just rebirth. This was inheritance. The water around them shifted, almost imperceptibly, as if listening. Darien felt it then too, the way the night bent towards Selene, the way the city seemed to hold its breath, far behind them. and seeing eyes watched from the shadows of stone and ruin. The hunters had not vanished. They had learned. A silver symbol burned briefly beneath the surface of the water, then disappeared. A warning, or a mark. Lucien's voice came from the darkness behind Darien. Low and urgent. They felt it. Whatever she is becoming. They felt it. Selene pushed herself to her feet, wiping her face with the back of her hand. When she spoke again, her voice was steadier, colder. Then they'll come for me. Darien shook his head. No, he said, they'll come for us. He stepped in front of her without thinking, placing himself between Selene and the city beyond the shore. For the first time since she rose from the water, Selene did not pull away from him. The sea whispered softly behind them, not a promise, not a threat, a memory. And somewhere deep beneath Istanbul, something old had awakened to something that remembered Selene's name long before Darien ever spoke it. The hunt was no longer one-sided, and Selene's first sin would not be her last. The hunters moved first, not with footsteps, with signs. Across the Bosphorus, the water darkened in thin lines, spreading like veins beneath the surface. Old symbols, carved centuries ago and long forgotten, began to glow faintly where salt met stone. The sea carried the message faster than any scream. She is awake. Selene felt it before anyone spoke. Her body stiffened, breath catching as if invisible hands had wrapped her on her ribs. The water behind her rose slightly, then stilled, waiting. I didn't call it, she said quickly, fear flashing across her face. I swear I didn't. Darien believed her. That frightened him more than doubt ever could. This isn't choice anymore, Lucien said. It's instinct. The city remembers what she is. A sudden pain cut through Selene's chest. She gasped and bent forward, fingers clawing at the air. Images flooded her mind, not memories, but echoes, chains sinking into black water. Voices chanting her name wrong. A box closing. Darkness breathing. She screamed. The Bosphorus answered. Water surged up the stone steps, not wild, not violent, controlled. It curved around Selene like a living wall, shielding her. The hunters' marks on the far shore flickered, confused. The sea twisted their signals, bent their paths. They can't read it anymore, Lucien said in awe. The water's lying to them. Selene fell silent. Her eyes lifted slowly, and for the first time, Darien saw fear leave her face. I can feel them, she said. The hunters. They think I'm moving east. But I'm not. The water obeyed her thought, flowing away from their position, carrying false currents, false signs. Somewhere in the city, hunters would follow ghosts. Darien took a step back. Not in rejection, in realization. You're not just bound to the sea, he said softly. You command it. Selene shook her head once. No, it commands me too. We're tied. A horn sounded in the distance. Then another, confused, disconnected. The hunters were splitting. Lucien smiled, sharp and dangerous. They're chasing shadows. But Darien wasn't smiling, because power always demanded a price. Selene swayed on her feet. The water that had risen to protect her now trembled, ripples turning uneven. Her breath became shallow. It's taking too much, she whispered. I can't hold it and myself at the same time, without thinking. Darien caught her as her knees buckled. The sea did not return to sleep. It only pretended to. Darien felt at first a pressure in the air, like a held breath. Selene was still in his arms, her body lighter now, to light, as if something inside her had loosened its grip. Lucien turned his head slowly toward the water. Do you hear that? He asked. There was no sound. That was the problem. The Bosphorus had always spoken waves, currents, distant movement. Now it was silent in a way that meant attention. Selene stirred. Her fingers tightened once in Darien's coat, then relaxed. When she lifted her head, her eyes were darker than before, not with hunger, not with rage, but with knowing. It heard me, she said quietly. Darien swallowed. Who? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stepped out of his arms and walked toward the edge. The water did not touch her feet. It pulled back, respectful. Before the coffin, Selene said, her voice distant. Before the chains. There was a vow. Lucien stiffened. A sea vow. Selene nodded. Not mine. Theirs. They bound something beneath this city. Used me as the lock. The surface of the water rippled once, deep, slow. Hunter's horns sounded again in the distance, closer this time but uneven. disordered. Whatever signs they were following were breaking apart. "They're lost," Lucian said. "Completely." Selene closed her eyes. And the sea moved again, not violently, precisely. Currents shifted beneath the city, turning paths inward, folding directions back on themselves. Any hunter stepping near the water would feel certain they were close, only to find themselves farther away. Misdirection made flesh. Selene gasped. Darien reached for her, but stopped when he saw it. Thin lines of dark red running from the corner of her eye. Not blood, not tears. "Payment, you don't have to do this," he said. His voice cracked. "We can run. Leave the city." Selene smiled sadly. "I don't think it will let me." Another movement below, stronger this time. Stone beneath their feet vibrated. Somewhere far away, water struck rock with a hollow, bell-like sound. Lucian's expression hardened. "If what's down there wakes fully, hunters won't matter anymore." Selene turned back to Darien. For a moment, she was not ancient, not bound, just her. "I saw you," she said softly, "during the fight. That's why I lost control. I thought, if I reached for you, I could come back." His chest tightened. "You did come back." "I saw you," she said softly, "during the fight. That's why I lost control. I thought, if I reached for you, I could come back." His chest tightened. "You did come back." She shook her head. "Only halfway." The water rose again, higher now, curling behind her like a living shadow. Not attacking, claiming. Darien stepped forward without hesitation. "Then halfway is enough. I'm not letting you face this alone." For the first time, the sea hesitated. Just a fraction. Lucian watched it happen, eyes narrowing. "It recognizes him," he murmured, "or what he means to her." Selene reached out, pressing her forehead briefly to Darien's. "If it chooses," she whispered, "it will choose tonight." A deep pulse rolled through the Bosphorus. Something ancient shifted its body against its chains. And across Istanbul, every body of water trembled as if the city itself was holding its breath, waiting to see whether love or the sea would claim Selene first. The Bosphorus answered. Not with a wave, with depth. The water behind Selene opened, not splitting, but bending inward, as if the sea itself were bowing. Cold rushed up the stones, crawling toward Darien's boots. He did not move. Neither did Selene. "This is how it begins," she said, not afraid, resigned, not with fire, not with blood, with choice. Lucian stepped back instinctively. "Selene, whatever is bound beneath this city, it does not bargain, it consumes." A low sound rolled through the water, not a voice, but pressure, like something vast turning in its sleep. Selene's knees buckled. Darien caught her before she fell. Her body shook now, not from weakness, but resistance. The sea pulled at her veins, at the old mark beneath her skin, the one carved into her long before the coffin, long before the hunters. "You're not its lock anymore," Darien said fiercely. "They used you. That doesn't mean you still belong to it." Her eyes snapped open. For a moment, something else looked out through them, ancient, tidal, patient. Then Selene screamed, not in pain. The water surged upward in response, violent now, slamming against the quay. Stone cracked. Somewhere behind them, a hunter cried out as the ground gave way and swallowed his path entirely. Lucian turned sharply. "They're gone. The seas erased them." Darien barely heard him. Selene's hands clawed into his chest, fingers trembling as dark veins spread along her wrists. "I can't stop it," she gasped. "It's answering me whether I want it to or not." "Then don't answer," Darien said. He pressed his forehead to hers again, grounding and yielding. "Listen to me. Listen to us." The sea pulled harder. Water wrapped around Selene's ankles. Then her calves, warm now, almost gentle. Claiming. Lucian's voice cut through the roar. "Darien, if she completes the bond, I know." Darien shouted back. He did. If Selene accepted what the sea offered, she would never be trapped again. But she would never be free either. Selene's breathing slowed. Her body stopped shaking. That terrified him more than anything. She lifted her hand not toward the water, toward Darien's face. "I remember everything," she said quietly. "The coffin, the centuries, your voice fading every time I died and came back." A tear finally fell. This one reached the sea. The water stilled instantly. Lucian froze. "Darien, do you feel that?" The pull weakened. "Not gone, but confused," Selene whispered, barely audible. It wants me because I survived it, but it doesn't understand this. She pressed her palm to Darien's heart. Love. Choice. Defiance without hunger. The sea recoiled. Just a little. Enough. Far below. Something ancient roared, not aloud, but through pressure and tremor, frustrated, denied. The Bosphorus surged once more, then settled, currents folding back into themselves like a creature retreating into the dark. Selene collapsed against Darien, unconscious. The water released her completely. Lucian exhaled shakily. You didn't break the bond. Darien held Selene tightly, staring at the calm surface, now pretending to be innocent again. No, he said, we weakened it. Beneath Istanbul. The chains still held.
But they were no longer unquestioned. And the sea, patient, eternal, had learned something dangerous that night. Selene could refuse.
And Darien was the reason. Selene did not wake at dawn. The city did. Istanbul breathed again, the vendors opening shutters, distant calls echoing through stone, unaware that something beneath it had been denied. Darien carried her through the narrow streets without hiding. Let them see, he thought. Let the city remember. Selene's skin was cold, but not lifeless. Her heart beat slow, deep, changed. Lucian walked ahead, alert, counting reflections. The hunters won't follow, he said quietly. Not tonight. The sea confused them. Some will think it was a sign. Others will think it was a curse. Both are useful, Darien replied. They reached the old shelter beneath the cistern ruins, stone older than names, dry despite the water above. Darien laid Selene down carefully. When he pulled his hand back, faint moisture clung to his skin, shimmering like salt and starlight. Marks. Not wounds. Answer. Marks. Lucian noticed. She's bound differently now. Yes, Darien said, but not owned. 4 hours. Selene did not move. Darien did not leave her side. When she finally stirred, it was not sudden. Her fingers twitched first. Then her breath changed. When her eyes opened, they were darker than before, not black, not red, a deep, tidal. She looked at Darien and began to cry. I hurt someone, she whispered. I didn't mean to. I didn't even feel hunger. I felt pulled. Darien took her face in his hands. The first wound is always confusion, he said softly. It doesn't define you. She shook her head. It does if I let it happen again. Silence stretched between them. Then Selene sat up. I can hear it, she said. The water, not words, direction, pressure. It knows where I am. Lucian stiffened. Then time just shortened. Selene nodded. And so did our mercy. She stood, steadier now, and for the first time since the coffin, she did not look lost. I won't run, she said. And I won't hide. Darien searched her face. What are you choosing? Selene looked past him toward the unseen line the sea had drawn through the city. I will walk the edge, she said, where it can reach me, but not command me. Lucian exhaled slowly. That path has never ended well. Selene met his gaze. It ends when someone refuses to become what they were made to be. Far away, beneath layers of stone and water, something shifted again. Not angry this time. Curious. The sea had lost its certainty. Far away, beneath layers of stone and water, something shifted again. Not angry this time. Curious. The sea had lost its certainty. And in losing it, it had gained a reason to watch. Darien stepped beside Selene, shoulder to shoulder. Then we walk it together, he said. Above them, Istanbul stood ancient, crowded, unaware. Below it, the dark waited. And for the first time in centuries, it did not know how this story would end. Istanbul did not sleep that night. The sky was clear, but there were no stars. The moon was there, but its light did not touch the sea. The Bosphorus was silent. No waves, no wind. The water felt like it was holding its breath. Selene stood by the shore. Her feet did not touch the water, but the sea touched her, like an invisible bond. Darien stood a few steps behind her. He did not move closer. He knew this was a moment of choice. If he spoke, everything could change. Lucian stayed far away. He watched the dark streets where hunters could come from. But tonight, there were no hunters. They were looking the wrong way. Selene closed her eyes. And the sea spoke. Not with words. With memory. The darkness of the coffin. The cold wood. No air. Waking up. Selene fell to her knees. She pressed her hands to her chest. Tears fell from her eyes, but they did not mix with the water. The sea pushed them away. "You want me," Selene whispered. "You speak from inside me." The water moved. Darien took one step forward. "Selene," she raised her hand. "If you speak now, I will stay. And if I stay, everyone will burn." Darien stopped. For the first time, he felt fear. The sea rose, not in anger, but in control. Selene understood then. The sea did not want her as a weapon. It wanted her as a door. A crossing, a line between worlds. Selene stood up. Her body was shaking, but her eyes were clear. "I will not belong to you," she said to the sea, "and I will not belong to them." The water pulled back for a moment. Then it came forward. Selene did not scream. She stepped into the water. But she did not sink. The water wrapped around her, up to her waist, her chest, her neck. Her hair moved like waves. Her eyes shone. She was not human, not fully vampire. She was something in between. At that moment, the hunters saw the sign. In different parts of the city, the same symbol appeared, a circle drawn with water. Empty inside. "This is not a call," one hunter said. "This is a warning." Darien walked toward the sea. When the water reached his ankles, he stopped. "Come back," he said. His voice was calm. His heart was breaking. Selene looked at him. She smiled. It was the same smile from the first day he saw her. "I am not disappearing," she said. "I am going where others are afraid to look." Then the sea took her. Quietly. In one moment. No trace left behind. The water became calm again. Moonlight returned. The Bosphorus looked normal, but Darien fell to his knees. He put his hands in the water. "This is not goodbye," he whispered. "This is a promise." Lucien came closer. "The hunters are confused," he said. "The sign divided them. The sea sent them the wrong way." Darien stood up. His eyes were used to the dark now. "Good," he said, "because now it's our turn." Far below the surface, Selene opened her eyes. It was dark, but she was not afraid. The sea was no longer speaking. It was listening. And Selene understood one thing. This war was not only between vampires and hunters. It was a war against fate. And the darkness knew. In the next season, no one will stay the same.